When words became weapons, a Nazi leaflet dropped on American soldiers. In the autumn of 1944, the United States Army stood deep inside enemy territory, thousands of miles from home, having crossed oceans, broken defenses, and forced its way into the heart of fascist Europe. These were no longer inexperienced men, and the enemy knew it. As American forces pushed forward through northern Italy, something unusual happened. German aircraft appeared overhead, but they did not drop bombs. There were no explosions, no gunfire followed. Instead, pieces of paper drifted down slowly from the sky, landing quietly in fields, roads, and foxholes occupied by American troops. It was a strange sight, and a revealing one. The enemy was no longer relying on firepower, he was relying on words. By late 1944, the Italian campaign had become a test of endurance. The fighting was slow, deliberate, and exhausting. The Po River Valley turned into a landscape of constant rain, mud, and cold nights. American units advanced steadily, methodically, knowing the war was being won mile by mile. For German commanders, this was the worst possible situation. They were facing an army that could not be rushed, intimidated, or easily broken. German propagandists understood that American soldiers were well supplied, confident, and supported by overwhelming industrial power. Fear alone would not work, threats would fail. So instead of intimidation, they chose something far more calculated. They chose familiarity. The leaflet that landed in American hands did not insult them. It did not promise death or defeat. It spoke calmly, almost casually, presenting itself as a harmless way to pass the time, a simple question and answer game designed to occupy soldiers during long hours of rain and waiting. But every line had a purpose. Every question was meant to pull the mind away from the present moment and toward something else. Home, warm beds, dry clothes, family meals, a life that felt impossibly distant from the cold ground beneath their boots. The leaflet never told soldiers to surrender. It didn't have to. Its purpose was to introduce doubt, to slow the mind, to ask a single quiet question that lingered longer than the paper itself. How much longer? This was psychological warfare stripped down to its core. The German command knew American soldiers did not lack courage. What they hoped to weaken was patience. A tired man might hesitate, a distracted man might lose focus, and in combat, even a moment of hesitation could matter. But the reality was very different from what the Germans hoped. For most American soldiers, the leaflet did not weaken morale. It exposed desperation. Many laughed when they read it. Some kept it as a souvenir, a reminder that the enemy had been reduced to dropping paper instead of bombs. Others discarded it without a second thought. What was meant to undermine confidence instead reinforced it. The enemy was running out of options. Historians agree that these leaflets rarely produced measurable results, but they continued to be dropped anyway. Not because they worked well, but because desperation leaves few alternatives. When tanks are gone, when air superiority is lost, when the battlefield can no longer be controlled, words become the final weapon. And that fact speaks louder than the leaflet itself. This single piece of paper, forgotten in the mud of Italy, tells us something essential about the state of the war in 1944. It shows an enemy who knew he could no longer stop the American advance with force. It reveals a moment when psychological warfare became a last line of defense, not a strategy of strength, but a sign of decline. By that point in the war, the United States Army was not something to be frightened away. It had to be convinced, and even that failed. The leaflet did not change the course of the war, but it reminds us that wars are fought not only with weapons and machines, but with morale, belief, and endurance. And in that quiet battle, the battle of words, American soldiers proved that they could not be broken. Paper fell from the sky that day, not to kill, not to destroy, but to persuade. And it wasn't enough. This was the silent front of the war, where words became weapons and failed.